طيب صباح الخير جميعا، ان شاء الله تكونوا قضيتوا امبارح سهرة حلوة. نعلن عن بدء أعمال اليوم الثاني من جلسات المؤتمر العقبة الدولي 2023، والبداية لليوم في هذه الجلسة عن التأمين الزراعي، والسيدة رنا طهبوب رئيسة الجلسة، المدير التنفيذي دائرة الرقابة على أعمال التأمين في البنك المركزي الأردني رئيسة الجلسة، والمتحدث مستر لورنس نجوري رئيس في السوق الإفريقي أبيكس كينيا. قبل ما أترك لك ست رنا، بس أي حدا بده الديفايس تاع الترجمة موجود في نهاية القاعة في حال يعني بدكم ترجمة من الإنجليزي للعربي. تفضلي ست رنا.
شكراً. صباح الخيرات، أهلا وسهلا فيكم في اليوم الثاني من أعمال المؤتمر. بداية بحب أشكر الاتحاد الأردني لشركات التأمين والهيئة واللجنة المنظمة لأعمال المؤتمر على دعوتي لرئاسة هاي الجلسة واختيار موضوع التأمين الزراعي كأحد محاور المؤتمر. اختيار التأمين الزراعي كأحد محاور المؤتمر بيعكس الاهتمام قطاع التأمين في استكشاف الطرق والوسائل الممكنة لتوفير التغطية التأمينية الزراعية، وهذا الموضوع يسعدنا كثيراً في البنك المركزي لأنه ينسجم مع توجهات البنك المركزي في تحقيق الشمول المالي. وكما تعرفون أن الاستراتيجية التي يجري العمل على إعدادها وإطلاقها للاشتمال المالي اعتبرت التأمين كأحد الركائز الأساسية في تحقيق الاشتمال المالي، ونحن كذلك سعيدين بوجود وزارة الزراعة واليو ان دي بي كأحد شركائنا في فريق العمل المخصص للاشتمال التأميني. كذلك ينسجم مع توجهات البنك المركزي في تحقيق التحول نحو التمويل الأخضر، ويتزامن أيضاً مع المبادرة التي يعمل البنك المركزي بالتعاون مع البرنامج الإنمائي للأمم المتحدة والإنشورنس ديفلوبمنت فورم والوكالة والبنك الألماني للتنمية على تحقيقها، والتي تهدف لتقليل الآثار الناجمة عن التغير المناخي وأعباء الكوارث الطبيعية على النمو الاقتصادي الشامل والتنمية، حيث يرأس البنك المركزي فريق العمل المخصص لتوفير المعرفة الفنية والمشورة، بالإضافة لشركائنا من القطاع الخاص والقطاع العام على رأسهم وزارة الزراعة والاتحاد الأردني لشركات التأمين، بالإضافة لوزارات المعنية بموضوع توفير الخبرة الفنية وتحقيق واستكشاف الطرق الأمثل لتوفير التغطية التأمينية والاستفادة من قطاع التأمين في تمويل المخاطر وتحويلها. لنسلط الضوء أكثر على موضوع خطة العمل اللي أطلقها البنك الإنمائي، وقبل الحديث المتحدث الرئيسي يسعدني أنه اليوم يكون معنا دكتورة مسنات الحياري، وهي خبيرة اقتصادية تحمل درجة الدكتوراه في اقتصاد الأعمال من الجامعة الأردنية، وتشغل حالياً منصب مديرة مشروع الشمول المالي وتمويل المخاطر في البرنامج الإنمائي للأمم المتحدة، حتى تعطينا فكرة أكثر عن الجهود اللي بيبذلها اليو ان دي بي في توفير الدعم لقطاع التأمين وتحقيق الاشتمال التأميني. ما بعرف إذا دكتورة مسنات سامعتينا، بليز تفضلي.
شكرا رنا، وشكرا لمنظمين هذا المؤتمر المهم، وشكرا لدعوتي اني اعمل هذا البرزنتيشن عن مشروع الاشتمال التأميني وتمويل المخاطر. طبعا هذا المشروع مثل ما حكت رنا ينفذ بالتعاون مع البنك المركزي ووزارة الزراعة وجميع الجهات ذات العلاقة. بداية من وين اجت فكرة المشروع؟ جميعا بنعرف انه في عنا بالاردن نمو سكاني سريع، في عنا غير منظم، تحضر غير منظم بنسميه، في عنا كمان استخدامات للاراضي غير مستدامه، وايضا عنا اداره للمياه، ممارسات إدارة المياه أيضا فيها مشكلة. هي محركات الخطر الرئيسية في الأردن. وحتى أن نحقق طموح الأردن بالرؤية الاقتصادية وتوجيهات جلالة الملك، وحتى نحقق أهداف التنمية الاقتصادية والنمو الاقتصادي، فإن هناك قطاعات مثل البناء والسياحة والإرث الحضاري، أيضا البيئة والمياه والزراعة والتعليم والصحة وأيضا النظافة الصحية. كل هذه القطاعات تحتاج إلى أن يكون في عنا قطاع للتأمين يكون فايبل، حيوي وقابل للحياة وقابل للاستمرارية والتطبيق. القطاع الزراعي في الأردن له خصوصية، لأنه معظم الأراضي المزروعة في الأردن هي تعتمد على مياه الأمطار، نسميها زراعة بعلية، وبالتالي فهي يعني تتعرض للعديد من المشاكل بسبب تغيرات الطقس. تعرفوا في تغيرات مناخية، وفي عنا كل هاي المخاطر اللي بتصير بسبب التغيرات المناخية هي تؤثر على السكان في المناطق الريفية. وبالتالي طبعا هدول السكان في المناطق الريفية لماذا هم أكثر تأثرا؟ لأنهم أصلا يعتمدوا على القطاع الزراعي في معيشتهم. وعبر السنوات في عنا صار مشاكل بشكل كبير تعرض لها القطاع الزراعي وصدمات. لو أخذنا بس آخر كم سنة عاصفة التنين، بعدها كوفيد 19، بعدين عنا تذبذب الأمطار، بعدين عندنا تقطع السلاسل الإمداد الغذائي بسبب أزمة أوكرانيا. كل هاي المشاكل بتعرض لها القطاع الزراعي، بتخلي الاستثمار في هذا القطاع محدود، لأنه أصلا المزارعين عم بيتعرضوا للخسائر الاقتصادية. هلا هذا كمان أدى لشغلة مهمة، إنه هذا القطاع ببين إنه المخرجات تبعته وخاصة مساهمته في الناتج المحلي الإجمالي نوعا ما بتكون ضعيفة، وأيضا بيكون عبء على الدولة في تعويض المزارعين في حال وجود المخاطر مثل الصقيع مثلا. بناء عليه جاءت فكرة هذا المشروع، وهو يعني ينطلق من أهداف التنمية المستدامة ويركز على الأهداف اللي هي القضاء على الفقر، حيث أن التأمين يؤدي إلى القضاء على الفقر بأشكاله، وأيضا التأمين يؤدي إلى القضاء على الجوع من خلال تأمين القطاع الزراعي، وبالتالي تحسين التغذية ووصولا إلى زراعة مستدامة. أيضا التأمين يحسن من صحة الأشخاص وحياتهم، وأيضا يؤدي إلى المساواة بين الجنسين. وكذلك فإن التأمين يحقق نمو اقتصادي ويؤدي إلى تحقيق فرص، يعني إيجاد فرص عمل جديدة ولائقة. وأيضا أن التأمين هو يعتبر جزء من التكيف مع التغيرات المناخية، بالإضافة طبعا إلى العديد من أهداف التنمية المستدامة، انطلاقا من استراتيجية البرنامج الإنمائي للأمم المتحدة. فخاصة يعني كل الاستراتيجيات وخاصة 2022 2025 تركز على القضاء على الفقر، تركز على رفاه الإنسان والحفاظ على البيئة والطاقة والمساواة بين الجنسين والحوكمة. كل هذا عن طريق الرقمنة والإبداع والابتكار، وأيضا إنه living no one behind، إنه بحيث إنه ما يكون في أحد خلف الركب، لأنه بهمنا نحقق الرفاه للمجتمع بشكل عام، وخاصة الفئات اللي بتكون مهمشة في المجتمع. هذا المشروع هو يعني يتواءم مع الاستراتيجيات اللي بتكون اللي هي الرؤية الاقتصادية وبرنامج التنفيذي. هو يتواءم أيضا وينسجم مع استراتيجية وزارة الزراعة ومع الاستراتيجية مكافحة الحد من المخاطر DRR، وأيضا استراتيجية الشمول المالي للبنك المركزي وحتى التمويل الأخضر. بناء عليه تم توقيع ترايبارتايت اجريمنت، هي الاتفاقيه ما بين UNDP وبين الحكومه الالمانيه وبرنامج او منتدى IDF اللي هو منتدى تطوير التامين. سيعمل برنامج UNDP على كمحفز، بحيث انه يشوف يدرس البيئه التشريعيه لقطاع التامين في الاردن وتمويل المخاطر، وايضا بحيث انه يحقق بناء القدرات، بحيث انه نعمل كمان محو للاميه الماليه اللي بتكون عندنا في الأردن. في عندنا لسه أمية مالية خاصة في الأمور المالية الرقمية والتحول الرقمي. بناء عليه الاي دي اف وعباره عن بلاتفورم بيربط قطاع الانشورنس مع البنك الدولي والامم المتحده ومؤسسات المجتمع المدني، بحيث انه يحقق استراتيجيه اللي هي اهداف التنميه المستدامه. وبدنا نحاول نقلل من الفجوه اللي هي بتكون الحمايه التمويليه أو المجتمعية. تم تشكيل تاسك فورس كوميتي برئاسة البنك المركزي مع جميع أصحاب العلاقة بهدف تحقيق المخرجات التالية. رح يكون عندنا تأمين شمولي، بهمنا أن نوصل لجميع الفئات، بهمنا يكون في عندنا تمويل المخاطر الأساسية اللي بتواجهها الأردن، وأيضا أن نعمل على إدماج التأمين في خطط التنمية، وأيضا أنه يكون في عندنا الأبحاث والدراسات وجمع البيانات وإدخال التكنولوجيا والإبداع والابتكار للوصول إلى حلول ابتكارية إبداعية للتمويل. عندنا 5 ورك ستريمز رئيسيات رح يكونوا بهذا المشروع. أول واحدة اللي هي إدماج التأمين ضمن خطط التنمية، وخاصة خطط ال NDC وال NAB. وأيضا رح يكون عندنا التمويل الشمولي وتمويل المخاطر، وخاصة رح يكون التركيز في الأردن على المخاطر الزراعية. أيضا رح نهتم بالناتشورال كابيتال ورأس المال الطبيعي والتنوع الحيوي، ورح يكون كل الأنشطة رح تهتم بأنها تكون جرين. أيضا رح يكون عندنا الاهتمام بجانب الاستثمار، لأنه حسب تقارير التنمية البشرية فإنه بدكم تتخيلوا 3 pillars عندنا اللي هم الإبداع والتأمين والاستثمار. هدول 3 بيلرز مع بعض بيشتغلوا لمكافحة أو الحد من الانسرتينتي والمخاطرة. فبالتالي إحنا لازم نشتغل بهذا المشروع على جميع المحاور حتى أن نغطي جميع الفجوات الموجودة في قطاع التأمين في الأردن. لماذا التأمين مهم؟ يعني حضراتكم أعلم مني بهذا الموضوع، لأنه لما أنت بتأمن شبكة أمان للمجتمع وللأسر وللشركات، فأنت هيك بتخليها أكثر منع وصمود، وأيضا تنسجم مع خطط الدولة اللي بتكافح الفقر وبتحاول أنها توصل للأمن الغذائي وتخلق فرص عمل جديدة وتحسن من مستوى التعليم والصحة والتكيف مع التغيرات المناخية. لما احنا بنعمل تقليل للمخاطر، فانه انت بتشجع الاس ام ايز انها تعمل استثمار اكبر وبتشجع على النمو الاقتصادي. ولو اخذناها من منظور الشمول المالي، فانه انت تستطيع ايضا انك تدخل التامين مع الخدمات الاخرى اللي بتقدمها، يعني مثلا القروض والادخار. يعني مثلا ممكن ندمج احنا التمويل على المخاطر الزراعية أو التأمين الزراعي مع القروض مع مؤسسة الإقراض الزراعي. على سبيل المثال إحنا بدنا ندفع كمان بالأسواق الرقمية المالية. أيضا بيّنت الدراسات والأبحاث في العالم إنه إذا أنت قللت المخاطر وكان في عندك تأمين، فإنك رح تقلل من الخسائر اللي بتتعرض لها الدول الفقيرة ب 25%، نسبة مرتفعة طبعا. هلا الانشورنس كمان هو وسيلة للتنمية أكيد، بما أن إحنا بنطور من كل المنشآت سواء كانت اس ام ايز. وأيضا في الأردن إحنا بنعرف إنه المنشآت في الأردن يعني 99.5% هي عبارة عن اس ام ايز، حتى 90% تقريبا منها هي عبارة عن مايكروية، يعني أقل من 5 عمال. بهمنا إنه ندعم هاي الشركات. أنت لما بتدعمها بيكون في تأمين، بيكون في استثمار أكبر، بيصير في نمو اقتصادي أكبر، وبالتالي بتخفف حتى العبء على الدولة إنها تكون هاي الدولة فقط إنها يعني بدها تحل مشاكل الأزمات وتمول هاي الأزمات. بتحاول أنت بهاي الطريقة لما يكون في التأمين تدفع بعجلة النمو الاقتصادي. من جهة سبلاي اند ديماند، في عنا ويك ديماند، يعني عندنا طلب ضعيف بسبب يعني أسباب رئيسية اللي هي الأويرنس. عشان هيك رح يشتغل المشروع على أنه يعمل حملات توعية بأهمية التأمين، سواء التأمين بشكل عام أو التأمين على القطاع الزراعي، لأنه بدنا نبين لهم أهمية التأمين وقديش بحد من المخاطر. كمان عندنا مشكلة الأفوردابيليتي، عدم قدرة الشعب في الأردن أنه يدفع لشركات التأمين البريميوم. أيضا في في فقدان ثقة أحيانا مع بعض الشركات بما يخص موضوع التأمين. والكالتشر عندنا في الأردن إنه إحنا مركزين على، يعني مش بس الأردن، معظم الدول النامية بتكون كرايسيس فاينانسينج، يعني as response to disaster. بتكون هاي الدول بتستجيب للأزمات، ما بيكون في عندها خطط طويلة المدى واستراتيجيات للمخاطر بشكل عام. من جهة السبلاي بدنا نحاول يكون في عنا enabling environment بحيث إنه تكون البيئة محفزة، خاصة البيئة التشريعية. إذا وجدنا في بعض الجابس رح يتم دراسة التشريعات جميعها بالتعاون مع البنك المركزي، بحيث إنه إذا في أي فرص تحسينية أو أي تشريعات ممكن إن نضيف عليها أو نحسنها أو نطورها. ايضا الترانزاكشن كوست مرتفعه عندنا في الاردن، والانشورابيلتي انه معظم شركات التامين هي لا تفضل انها تدخل في قطاع التامين على المخاطر او القطاع الزراعي بسبب ارتفاع المخاطر وعدم اليقين اكثر بهذا القطاع. ايضا الديستريبيوشن نتورك، كونه موضوع التامين في الاردن جديد يعتبر بتامين، انا بحكي على المخاطر الزراعيه كتامين تكافلي، والتأمين بشكل عام حلول تأمينية جديدة، بدنا يكون في عنا نتورك أفضل وتوزيع أفضل خاصة الرقمي. آخر تقرير أصدره البنك المركزي للاشتمال التأميني بين إنه التمويلي، بين إنه في عنا 60% تقريبا عندهم نوع من أنواع التأمين على الأقل. لما سألوهم إنه يعني لماذا أنتم ما عندكم تأمين، فتقريبا 52% بينوا إنه عدم القدرة على دفع البريميوم. هلا كمان في عندنا 20% تقريبا بيعتقدوا انهم مش محتاجينه. هاي الفئه بدنا نشتغل عليها، انه لا، التامين مهم ويغطي المخاطر ويقلل من المخاطر. ايضا بيعتقدوا انها complicated procedures، ممكن يكون دراسه على موضوع كيف البروسيجر، خاصه اذا صرنا بالتحول الرقمي. هل سالوهم هل تطلب انت ممكن تاخذ تامين لو كان عندك القدره، فبينوا انه فعلا بدهم تامين، خاصه عندنا 33% بدهم تامين على الحياه. في 2021 كان عندنا 2,200,000 بوليصه تامين. لما نحكي عن قطاع التأمين عندنا تقريبا 55 5/10 كان عندنا تأمين صحي أو طبي، 16.9% كان عندهم تأمين للمركبات، واللايف انشورنس كان 4.7%، فهي نسبة تعتبر متدنية. في دراسة بالأردن عن الري انشورنس وأهمية إعادة التأمين بهدف الحد من المخاطر التي تواجه شركات التأمين. في دراسة حبيت أستعرضها معكم عن عن شركات التأمين التكافلي. هاي الدراسة في الجزائر بتبين قديش مهم إن نعزز نشاط شركات التأمين التكافلي. في دراسة بالأردن عملوا سيرفي بينت إنه بيواجهوا مخاطر تقريبا 51%، بينوا إنه مخاطر الصقيع هو أكثر شيء عندنا بالأردن، بعدين الأمراض والآفات بالنسبة للقطاع الزراعي، وموجات الحر 20%. ليش احنا بدنا ننتقل من مفهوم الكومبنسيشن للانشورنس سكيم؟ لانه بدنا نروح على فكره انه احنا يكون في عنا تامين تكافلي وليس التعويض، ويكون عبء على الدوله في تعويض المزارعين كل سنه بالنسبه للمخاطر الزراعيه. احنا هيك بنشيل العبء عن الدوله وايضا عن المزارع. اول ناس بلشوا بفكره التكافل وهو منسجم مع الشريعه الاسلاميه اللي هم في السودان في السبعينات، ويتنامى الآن هذا جروينج، يعني ماسة 18% كل سنة. المايكرو تكافل اللي هو التمويل الأصغر أيضا هو الآن بلش طبعا في لبنان في التسعينات وانطلق إلى العديد من الدول، ويمكن استخدام هذا النوع من التكافل الأصغر ككوبينج استراتيجي للمناطق أو للسكان اللي بيكونوا أقل دخلا، وبالتالي حماية اجتماعية وجزء من الحماية الاجتماعية. بالنسبة للقطاع الزراعي، في عنا بالأردن صندوق المخاطر الزراعية أنشئ عام 2009، وهو يستخدم فكرة التعويض وخاصة التعويض على مخاطر الصقيع. من بداية السنة تم أخذ موافقة رئاسة الوزراء على القانون الجديد اللي هو Law on Agricultural Risk Reduction، اللي هو تكافل لو، رح يكون هذا بنهاية السنة معمول به. فلذلك رح يكون علينا جزء كبير بالتعاون مع صندوق المخاطر بهذا المشروع، إن نعمل وعي بالنسبة لموضوع التكافل كونه موضوع جديد على الأردن. وحتى شركات التأمين، يعني بجزء من 22 شركة في عندنا شركتين بيستخدموا التأمين التكافلي. راح استعرض بدقيقتين، يمكن ما ضل معي وقت رنا، السبوت اناليسيس سريعا، ممكن نترك مجال اذا في حدا عنده سؤال ليتر اون. هلا اذا اخذنا نقاط القوه في الاردن، في عندنا بيئه تشريعيه ستيبل يعني مستقره، في عندنا الليجل ريجوليشنز هي منسجمه مع الستاندرد الدولي، المعايير الدوليه، وايضا في عندنا خبراء، في مجال التامين، في عندنا البنك المركزي كجهاز رقابي قوي، وفي عندنا الاي ار اف اللي هو المشروع اللي بشرح لكم عنه اليوم، اللي هو جاي بهدف انه يبني العلاقه مع جميع القطاعات ذات العلاقه على المستوى المحلي وعلى المستوى الدولي. راح يربط هذا المشروع مع الاي دي اف، مع الاي اس اف، مع الاي ان اف اف، راح يربط مع الاي 2 اي اي ومع الميليمن، مع كل القطاعات اللي بتشتغل على التامين في العالم. راح يكون تشبيك وتدريب وبناء قدرات مع هاي الجهات ودراسات للاحتياجات الاكتشواريه للاردن. ايضا عندنا نقطه قوه انه في عندنا بارتنرشيب بين البرايفت والببليك سيكتور، وفي عندنا الاي دي اف كمنتدى تطوير اعمال من السنه الماضيه مبلش معنا شغل بحيث يطور هذا القطاع. وعندنا ضد المخاطر، يعني في شراكات كمان موجوده في مشاريع اخرى في اليو ان دي بي. الضعف انه عندنا ضعف الملاءه الماليه لبعض الشركات، كون بعض الشركات صغيره في التامين وهي تعمل يعني بتكون فاميلي اونر شيب. في عندنا مشكله حكينا في الدراسات الاكتواريه، نحتاج لخبراء، وعشان هيك راح يصير عندنا بهذا المشروع تاسك اللي هو ان ندرس الاحتياجات الاكتواريه. ايضا البورتفوليو في الاردن شرحت لكم كيف انه الموتور ان ميديكال انشورنس بيحتوي يعني 65% ما في عندنا انشورنس، يعني صور اخرى للتامين، ممكن تكون منتجات اخرى للتامين من خلال هذا المشروع، بناء على الابداع والابتكار، بدنا نبدع حلول ابتكاريه وابداعيه. ايضا عندنا لايف انشورنس في ليميتد شير حكينا عنه، وعندنا مشكله في الثقه والمعرفه والتوعيه والسلو باي اوت. يعني بدنا نحاول لما يكون الامور، لما تكون التحول رقمي راح تصير اكيد الامور افضل واسرع. وايضا القطاع التامين بيحتاج صراحه لمعلومات وبيانات كبيره، خاصه اذا دخل على القطاع الزراعي، فيجب تامين هذه البيانات والمعلومات بصفه تكون سيستماتيك. الاوبورتونيتيز المتاحه لنا عديده في هذا القطاع، لانه في اللو ريت اوف انشورنس بنتريشن ان جوردن، هذا يعني بير كابيتا، فبالتالي في امكانيه لدخول هذا السوق، خاصه للقطاع الزراعي في امكانيه لدخوله، وهذا الشيء راح يفتح لنا فرص ان ندخل الاستثمار في القطاع الزراعي، نتحول لصناعه الزراعه، ان يصير في عندنا استثمارات كبيره بهذا القطاع، حتى ان نخدم الفولنربل يعني اللي هم اكثر تاثرا في المناطق الريفيه في الاردن. المخاوف او تحديات انه خاصه لما يكون بدنا نعمل كلايمت موديلينج، في عندنا ليميتد يعني تكنيكال سكيلز محدوده بهذا القطاع. الليجيسليشن مش موجوده لحتى تغطي ديزاستر ريسك انفورميشن وديتا كولكشن، حكينا از نوت سيستماتيك، لازم يكون في عندنا جمع بيانات ممنهج. وممكن القطاع الزراعي احنا نحتاج ايضا انه يكون مثلا عندنا محطات رصد، وبتكون في بعض الاماكن اللي هي اكثر تعرضا واكثر فيها اكثر مخاطر. البورتفوليو حكينا كيف بدنا نعمل البورتفوليو نشتغل عليها على الكومباني ليفل، وكيف بده يكون عندنا حتى الترانزاكشن كوست بدنا نحاول كيف انها تكون اقل من خلال التحول الرقمي. اكيد من خلال التحول الرقمي بنقلل التكاليف، بتصير افوردبل للناس بشكل عام، خاصه انه احنا بنعرف انه في عندنا جاب في الاردن في التسهيلات، يعني احتل الاردن ترتيب متاخر ضمن مؤشر الحصول على الائتمان، يعني اخذنا رقم 159 من اصل 189 دوله حسب تقرير ايز اوف دوينج بزنس اللي بتصدره مجموعه البنك الدولي. الفجوه يعني نسبه التسهيلات التامينيه كانت الممنوحه للشركات الاس ام ايز فقط 7%، بتكون على الاقتصادات العالميه بتوصل ل 25%. عندنا فجوه تمويليه 74%. فاكيد انه المشروع بالتعاون ما بين اليو ان دي بي وجميع الشركاء على رأسهم البنك المركزي ووزارة الزراعة والإنشورنس إندستري اللي هو قطاع التأمين في الأردن، إنه إن شاء الله نحقق الأهداف المرجوة من هذا المشروع. وشكرا لحسن استماعكم. تفضلي رنا.
شكرا كثير دكتورة مسنات، وأكيد حضلي معنا إذا في حدا عنده أسئلة. Now we move to our main speaker for today, Mr. Lawrence Njore, who is the president of Sub-Sahara Africa team and Apex Reinsurance Brokers. He has 16 years of experience in reinsurance serving Sub-Sahara Africa, in which he supported many companies in setting up their insurance product in agriculture insurance. Please, the floor is yours.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Greetings from the other side of the Red Sea, from Africa. It's very strange that Middle East is not in Africa, but Madagascar is actually in Africa. Who has ever thought about that? Madagascar is in Africa, but Middle East is not in Africa. Very strange. You can actually walk to Africa, but you cannot even swim to Madagascar, but that's a story for another day. So my name is Lawrence Njore. I work with Apex Reinsurance Broker. I'm president Sub-Saharan Africa. I'm very passionate about agriculture and sustainable insurance. Apex, we are a signatory to the principle of sustainable insurance. I'll speak a little bit about that later. In fact, we were one of the first reinsurance brokers in the world to become a signatory to the principle for sustainable insurance. So what Madam Masnat has spoken about is actually, he's talked about most of the things that I want to address. I'll try and make it as quick as possible and see what we can cover. So we eat a lot of food. We've been eating the whole time we've been here. No one has ever wondered where does this food come from. You know, as we are just used to go to the supermarket, go to a hotel, you get your food. No one wonders where it comes from, the growing process and all of that. So food production occupies about 50% of the Earth's habitable land. It accounts for about 70% of the freshwater consumption. So we use, most of the water that we use is actually for vegetation growth and the food we eat. Food production is a major driver of biodiversity loss. So most times, if you've been keeping track with what is happening in the world, they clear a lot of forests to grow maize, sugar cane, all the foods that we eat. So it actually distorts the biodiversity in the world. So for us to eat, we have to destroy at times. I don't understand that, but okay. Food loss and waste account to between 25 and 30% of what is produced. So even as we push for food production, most of what we produce is actually lost. It's wasted. We don't have proper storage, transportation, so most of what is produced is lost in the process of transportation and storage. It's actually important that sustainable agricultural practices are implemented, and us as insurance practitioners, we have a space to play in this sector. So I just decided to have a look at the global performance of the agriculture industry. So out of the world, 71% of the world is ocean and 29% is land. So out of the 29%, 71% is habitable land. We've got about 10% glacier and 10% barren land. Out of the 71 habitable, 46% is agricultural land, 38% is forest, and the balance. Out of the agricultural land, 77% is used for livestock herding, and only 23% is used for agriculture. So you can just imagine, just have a view of these. And then you see 82% plant-based, 18% the other products, and then 63% is, that's a magnification. The 7% is meat and dairy. So we have a very small, out of the 29%, we only have a very small portion that is used for growing our food. So agriculture continues to bear the brunt of disaster impact as new risks emerge. We've seen climatic change has become a very big problem in the world. I think probably if someone is old enough, you'd understand that maybe the weather in Jordan is not the same as it was when you were a child. So it's always changing year after year. We've seen more hurricanes, low temperatures, very high temperatures. So the fluctuation is quite big, and probably we should expect that to continue and even become worse. So agriculture insurance is set up to safeguard crops and livestock against natural disasters. So that's the main, we are a risk carrier. So we support the industry, the agricultural industry, to handle the risks that they cannot handle. They cannot control the weather, they cannot control how the temperatures run. So we take that place and try and assist them to manage those risks. But strangely, we've not been doing a very good work. I'm sorry to say that. We've not been doing sufficient good work on that. So these are the different insurance products. We've got multiple perils, yield index, weather index. We've got index based for livestock and individual animals. So these are the main basic 4 products that we have. The first 3 are for covering crops, and the last 2 are for livestock. So multiple perils is cover different risks, different perils, just like a no-risk cover. It covers various risks that the farmer may go through. Then we have got the area yield index. I'll talk about a little bit about indexation. It's a new development in the insurance industry, although it's been there for a while. So over 45 million, this is about the MENA region, the situation in the MENA region. So over 45 million population, over 456 are undernourished. So that means they don't get enough food. Maybe they get 1 meal a day, or maybe they don't get a meal in a day. So there's a lot of malnutrition. So MENA region accounts for about 20% of acutely food insecure people. So there's a very shortfall of food production in the MENA region. 60% of the population is expected to be living in cities by 2030. So more people will move to the city. So it makes us wonder who will be left in the village to grow the crops. So if all of us move to the cities, we leave no one to grow the food that we eat. We'll end up starving in the cities. The agriculture sector produces less than 10% of total value added. So out of what we produce, what is put in manufacturing and production is only about 10%. And it offers 22% of the population. So this 22% of the population are those people who are left in the village to do the farming. So you can just imagine, the more they move to the village, to the urban areas, the less this is expected to drop. So Jordan's situation, agriculture contributes about 28% of the GDP. And then it's 2.6% of the total land surface is used for agriculture. So a very small part. Most of the part is not used for agriculture. And actually, this has dropped. During 1988, it used to be about 3.5%. So it has reduced from 3.5% to 2.6%. The country imports 81% of the food. So most of the food that is consumed in Jordan is actually imported. I got this information from Federation of Agriculture Organization, FAO. They have a lot of data on each country, so you can always go on board and have a look at this. So I decided to have a look at, compare the MENA region and Jordan. So the blue one is Jordan performance, and the green ones are the levels or the ratings of the MENA region. So this performance, they put up a couple of indicators, and then if you look supply of seed, out of 100, Jordan does about 60%, which is actually more than the MENA region, which is about probably 46%. Registered fertilizer user, a lot of fertilizer is used in Jordan, so they're doing much better than the peers. Security of water, it's much below the others. Using machinery, they're almost getting to the standard. Sustaining livestock, it's a little bit low. Protecting the plant health, it's quite well. I think the agriculture that is mainly done is mainly on irrigation. So they protect their plants quite well, and there's enough medication. Trading, they're doing quite well. Assessing finance, it's a little bit low. So the farmers don't get sufficient financing to do the agriculture farming. So this is just another figure I got from the FAO, just to see how the land utilization has been in Jordan for the last few years. So if you see from 1961 up to 2018, the Jordan arable land has actually been reducing. That means probably desertification has been growing. If you look, the land under permanent crops, those are things like dates, olive oils, the ones that stay in the land for a little bit longer. That has also gone down a little bit. If you look at permanent meadow and pasture, it's remained the same almost throughout the year. So there's not so much, from 1961 to 2018, there's not been so much development in the agricultural area. I decided to just do a little bit review, check the performance with the neighbors, Egypt. Egypt is it's one of the biggest agricultural companies, agricultural industries in this part of the world. So if you look at down here, this is Jordan, and up there is Jordan. If, the yellow one is production and cereal. So from 1990 up to 2020, the production in cereal is almost the same. It has never changed. Even as population has increased, nothing has changed. That's why there's a lot of import of food. If you look at yield, it's almost the same. No, yield has actually improved. And the reason why the yield, the one in red, yield has improved, but mainly because of utilization of fertilizer. If you remember, we saw that Jordan uses a lot of fertilizer. So the yield has improved a little bit because of fertilizer utilization. Egypt, you see Egypt, there's a slight increase in everything, and it's almost catching up. It's almost in one line. The production, the yield, and the utilization of fertilizer is almost the same. So there's a growth as the population grows. So that's something that also should be expected for Jordan as population grows. Maybe the government needs to put a little bit emphasis on growing the agricultural industry. So I decided to also just give a little bit experience from Kenya. Kenya, the last few years, we've had terrible times. So we used to have droughts, and after every, let's say, 5 to 10 years, but right now it's becoming regular. After every couple of years, we get droughts. 2008-2011, Kenya economy lost an estimated $7 billion. That is farm products that were lost because of drought. The livestock sector incurred 72% loss of about $5 billion. So out of the $7 billion, $5 billion was actually on livestock. So we lost a lot from 2008 to 2011. We lost a lot of livestock because of the drought. With 9% of livestock loss. For the last 12 years, the government of Kenya spent $30 million per year on disaster intervention. So these are measures that the government is trying. When there is shortfall of food, they buy food. They try and support the farmers in one way or another. So World Bank, International Livestock Research Institute, and insurance companies have worked together to support the agriculture, both the livestock and crop. So we participate in one of the programs in Kenya, the insurance program. It's called the Kenya Livestock Insurance Program. So what it does is actually weather indexed. So they use satellite to evaluate the growth of the vegetation in the land. Now this product is set up to provide security to the farmers with fodder for the animals they have. So what they did, the International Livestock Research Institute established how many livestock each farmer has. So they say that you have 4 goats, an average, 4 goats, 2 cows, 1 camel, and they use that to be the base of establishing the insurance. Then they said, for you to feed this animal for the next 3 months, how much would it be? So that forms the sum insured for the cover. And then the cover was supported by international reinsurers, heritage reinsurers. And then what it does, they use satellite to gauge the decline in vegetation in that particular area, and then compute the index, and then the claim is paid to the government, which transfers the money to the individual farmers. Now, if you look at that, it shows the yellow one is a drought-hit area. That there was severe drought. There was only left 20% of the vegetation was left during the dry season. The red one is about 31, and the green one is about 65. So if you can see, there are very few places that had sufficient vegetation to feed the animal. So with this information, they did an indexing to establish how much is payable. And so they did that. That's the sum insured computation. And there was a claim, if you look total down there, is 299 million. So the reinsurers paid that amount, and it was paid directly to the farmers. They got the money in their mobile phone. Then they could use it to buy fodder for the animal, or if they lost their animals, maybe find other solution. At least they have a little bit financing to purchase more crops, more animals. So I decided to just have a little bit understanding on measures to improve take-up of insurance. I understand what Madam Asnat has talked about. There are certain issues we as the insurance industry face. She talked about weak demand and supply. Now, for demand, sometimes, the farmer may not understand the demands they have, that, they have a risks they incur, but they don't know there is a solution for it. So they don't demand it because they're not aware of what is available for them. So We need some policy and regulatory intervention, both from the government and the regulator and all the individuals involved. Strengthening agriculture insurance market. There are a lot of reinsurers who are willing to step in to give capacity for agriculture insurance. If you're ever interested in getting into agriculture insurance, there's sufficient capacity for that. So we can always help you through the whole process. Innovative product. There are a lot of products that have come through. As I talked about the weather index. Weather index is satellite based. So the best thing about weather index is that it accumulates the production of all the farmers in one very large area. And there's no need for the insurance company to individually go to the area to evaluate each risk. So the satellites are used, so the cost, the management cost of the product is actually very low because it's satellite based. So the cost will be much low and very easy to manage. So addressing obstacle to insurance, she talked about the demand and supply, the pricing, that can be handled through the products that we set up. Global engagement and collaboration, a lot of financial institutions are willing to support. I've talked about ILRI is one of them, International Livestock Research Institute. There is Oxfam, there is the World Bank, all these institutions that are willing to support the agriculture initiative. Focus on sustainable agriculture and support from international institutions. Regulatory support, we also need the regulators to come on board and support as much as possible. Build capacity to evaluate insurance options. Coordinate the operational steps required for program implementation. They're the ones who regulate us. So if they make it much easier for us to set up new product, it becomes much easier. Training program stakeholders on insurance issues. Supporting drafting of documents required for program implementation. Designing and suitable monitoring and evaluation framework. So if the regulator comes in and steps in and tries to work with us to set up different agricultural products, it becomes much easier for us to attack the market and give solution to the farmers. So government support, we also need the government to come on board. So we need more than just the regulator, also the government needs to come on board. So create a center for expertise to support the development and scaling up of agriculture insurance. If it's possible, maybe the Ministry of Agriculture should have an insurance department within it, so that they can evaluate to see how agriculture can support the agricultural development, agriculture insurance development. Establish core team of agriculture insurance experts, create and manage a centralized database of agricultural and weather statistics. One of the biggest problems we have is information. Even when I was trying to prepare for this presentation, it was a little bit hard to get all the information on the MENA market and also the global market. So we don't have a centralized place where you can get information. So if the ministry maybe had a centralized place where you can get all the information about the agricultural practice and the performance in the country, it becomes much easier. If you have actuaries within the company, they can evaluate the risk internally and try and find ways of handling that. Promote the exchange of expertise among insurance companies. It's very important also to do that. There are a lot of insurance and reinsurance companies who are willing to exchange ideas, to give trainings on agriculture. So if the government comes on board and tries to push also for that, it will greatly benefit the industry. So the started opportunities in the agriculture industry, I try to look through to see what else, more than just us covering the crop, what else can we do? So it's estimated 17% of the total global production is waste. So we waste a lot of food. So more than just covering the crops, we need to find ways of covering the food in the storehouse, transportation of food. Even if maybe some of us will not be interested to cover the production part, some of us could also just go ahead and cover the transportation and storage of food. Also, while agriculture insurance has mainly covered farmers against losses, there's a need to develop products that will cover the consumers. Now, what usually happens is, if there is drought in the country and all the farmers are insured, that means that the farmers will actually, their livelihood will be secured because insurance companies will come in. But what about us who depend on the food? So it means that the food, we don't get food to eat. So the government again has to go out of his way to maybe subsidize imports, or maybe try and import food itself. So there's actually an opportunity for us to try and see how we can bring on board the government to become one of the insurers, interested parties in the insurance company, because the they have an insurable interest in insurance, in agriculture performing so well. So they can take up that cover to ensure shortfall in food production in the country. If there's a shortfall, instead of them buying food, the insurance comes on board and pays the government to buy food. Alternatively, also the insurance, more than just covering risk, we also give advice. If the government is willing to go in that direction, we can always come on board and advise the government on ways to improve the agricultural industry. We are very good with risk management as the insurance industry, so we can always get on board of that. Development of agriculture to support recovery and protection of biodiversity loss, we can always get into that. So I think you've seen these a couple of times, Sustainable Development Goals. I think it should be in our minds always. We should always think about that. We need to focus on try and see how we can cover all these aspects. This is an opportunity for us as an industry. If we look at it and try and see how can we tap into these to generate income to the company. There's a lot of opportunity, and actually, more than just that, we can actually give back to the community by focusing on how we can tap into these. There's a shortfall, there's increased poverty, there's too much poverty, so we need to reduce that. Zero hunger, agriculture right now. Good health, what do we do to improve the health? Quality of education, all these aspects, if we try and see how we can tap into this, actually we would actually become very sustainable in our practice. As I said, we are signatory to the Principle for Sustainable Insurance. This is an initiative of UNEP and the UNEP Financial Initiative. They have put up 4 principles that they want the companies to adhere to. First of all, it's a membership. You subscribe to the initiative. So you embed in your decision-making environmental, social, and governance issues. You're willing to work together with clients and business partners to raise awareness of ESG. Work together with government and regulators on these, and also demonstrate accountability. So when you become a signatory to this, you actually file annually your performance on how you've pushed towards this agenda. How have you advanced the sustainable insurance agenda globally? There are a lot of companies that are signatory. You see Tokyo Marine, AXA, AIG, Mafre, Munich Re, QBE. These are some of the signatory, even Apex. There are 150 signatory members, 104 supporting institutions, 33% of global underwritten premium is generated by these companies, and it's an asset of about $15 trillion. So these are the signatory members. If you're willing, probably she even has some information about it, but I'm also available to discuss on this if there is any interest on that. But I'd actually invite you all to join this initiative. It's a global initiative, a very good agenda. There are not so many signatories from Middle East and North Africa, and we want you to come on board and join with other players in the industry to advance sustainable insurance practice. I hope I've been informative. I've tried to I've not talked so much about the different products in agriculture. If we went into that, that would be a lecture. And I don't think we have time for lectures right now. But if you're interested in any agricultural product, just get through to us and we'll be able to discuss with you on that. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Because our colleague, Dr. Masnat, has to leave right now because she has to attend to another meeting. If there's any question you would like to ask her. So thank you very much, Dr. Masnat. It was very informative and beneficial presentation. If you have any other question to Mr. Lawrence as well, please.
The country risk profiling. What segmentation have you adopted? Is it the FAO segmentation first? Then, what type of data that you have collected and on what sources? Have you depended on the satellite data for, let's say, weather conditions? And how much it was accurate?
So there's a lot of information globally. If you've ever interacted with companies like Munich Re, Swiss Re, they have a lot of information on this part of the world. Even when we did not know so much about insurance, they were actually collecting information about us. In modern days, that would be called spying. But yeah, they have a lot of information about us. More than just that, with the international organization, example FAO, they have a lot of information. The meteorological departments in the countries, like in Kenya right now, the meteorological department, they have data for the last probably 100 plus years. Ministry of Agriculture also has a lot of information. And one of the things about these agricultural products, if you look at weather index, it's always important for them to have weather stations all over the areas that they're covered, because it should generate enough information and accuracy. So it can only be accurate if you have many viewpoints to look at. Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
And I have a question. Listening to Dr. Masnat and the work plan that UNDP is supporting Jordan with regarding agriculture insurance and moving from compensation to insurance scheme, what recommendation from your experience you can give to Jordan?
Well, the truth is, I think it's the right time to get into this, and actually also for the insurance players, it's an opportunity for you. If this passes you, you may find out that some companies have actually developed in this area. Now, the thing is, gradually the focus has moved from handling catastrophes to getting prepared for that. So all measures are coming to the point that now everyone wants to be ready before anything that happens. Now, Jordan has a very large land area. I understand that most of I think sheep farming is the biggest farming, I think, held in Jordan. So UNDP and the government can work on those particular areas that affects a lot of the farmers and develop that as much as possible. It becomes much easier when there is focus on one particular product than all the other. Like you see in Kenya, we focused on the livestock and also on particular crops. So there are two programs. There's one for livestock and another one for crops. So focus on two different areas and develop that as much as possible. Then you go on board, onboarding all the other products that comes on board.
Thank you very much. Do you have any questions? Please. Mike.
Thank you, Rana. Thank you, Dr. Thank you, Laurence. And thank you, Dr. Masnat. You are giving me a good opportunity to talk about what we have done within the General Arab Insurance Federation since 2019. In fact, I think the financial inclusion, and it was very well explained by Dr. Masnat, I think it has four or five pillars. Let's say the first pillar is the health insurance, and this is something which is critical, vital for our communities. Number two is the micro insurance correlated with agricultural insurance, and I like, the way you presented the things. Number three is the natural catastrophe, which is the next topic after this one, and the fourth topic, which is the pension. But this is just a general observation. My question to you, or I have three questions to you, Laurence. First question, what are the successful experience in Africa? I can talk a little bit about the Arab world, but better if you explain to us or you present, the successful experience in Africa. What are the ingredients for their success? And how come agricultural insurance, unfortunately, is not yet developed? I think this is a very central question. My second question, when we are talking about agricultural insurance, I think we tend to talk about product. While I think agricultural insurance cannot done by insurance companies. It should be done in a sort of pooling system with the public-private partnership. If a company X having, let's say, 10, 15, 20, even 100 million US dollar want to develop a product, I don't think that this company will succeed. I think the best approach, this is in my humble opinion, in fact, is to have a holistic approach, a national approach by country for specific risks, like the cat nut pool. And my third question, which is the most, the difficult question for us, with the climate change, I think we might find ourselves one day not able to ensure or to cover agriculture because of the temperature, because of many things. I don't think that the future of agricultural insurance is bright with the climate change. What do you think? Thank you, Lawrence.
Thank you very much. Those are very good questions, and I appreciate the effort the association has done so far. We usually try to find solutions when we start talking to each other and trying to know there is a problem in the country that needs to be addressed. So in Africa, what has really helped us, particularly in Kenya, to grow the agricultural insurance, one of the things is technology. As I said about the Kenya Livestock Insurance Program, the farmer is registered on the ground, they get his mobile phone number, and the system generates, using the satellite, the system looks at the vegetation, computes the claim payable. The claim is paid by the reinsurer, and payment goes directly to the farmer's mobile phone number. So it's automatic. So when it's automatic, it becomes very cost effective and also very reliable. Yeah. So that's one of the things, even in microinsurance is not so developed because of technological hurdles. If we can find the best solution to cover as many people at the lowest cost possible, that will make microinsurance to be very profitable. And that can only be done with technology. Also, the more you serve the market, the more they see the benefit of it, the more they join. So if you perform so well the first year, even if to us, losses is, when there's a claim, it's a loss to us. But if there is a loss and it's paid to the farmers, additional farmers will be interested to actually buy the covers. So also that breaks the image of the insurance industry. They always think that maybe we just take, we don't pay back anything. So when we pay them the claims, it builds our image to them. Now, you talked about the cost of setting up a product. It is true, it's quite costly. What we did in Kenya is that we had two consortiums. We had a consortium that dealt with the crop insurance, and we had another consortium that dealt with the livestock insurance. So each consortium, and it was supported by the World Bank and International Livestock Research Institute. So with that, and even the government was actually involved in the whole process. So the government was actually the insured. So when all these parties are involved, it becomes much costly. If we were to say that each one sets up their own insurance, agricultural insurance product, it will become very costly, and we will be competing with each other. The next minute we'll find that we are giving the insurance for almost free. But if we can form small consortiums, one deals with agriculture, the other on livestock, then form a product together, very little competition, set up technology to support it. It will become very cost effective to us, and both it will be profitable to us and also cost effective to the farmers. Yeah, it is true. Climatic issues become a very big problem, and I think one of the points I mentioned is how agriculture can be used to support biodiversity. You've seen how index-based operates. I've just given an image on how it's done in Kenya. Now imagine if we did this to protect the biodiversity, the forest, and the water life. Imagine if we did that. We used index to gauge how our forests are declining. And then when the forest decline, the insurance comes in to pay some money to support the recovery of the biodiversity to how it was before the loss. If we do this, would actually make sure that the biodiversity is maintained and maybe it grows, will ensure that maybe all the efforts go into supporting the recovery of the environment. Now, one of the things also that the PSI signatories did they came and signed an agreement between themselves, all the signatory members, that they will not insure any coal plant in the world. So all the coal plants are not supported by the signatory members of the PSI. Now with that, it drives the coal power plant or the companies or the countries also to know that if they have a coal power plant, they will not be insured, and in case of a loss, they will not have a fallback. So with that, it drives the agenda also to move from coal power plant to other renewable energies that are more favorable. So with all this effort, we've got a lot of power within ourselves to push for this agenda, if only we can utilize it as much as possible.
Thank you very much. I think for the sake of the time, we have to conclude our session today. Thank you, Lawrence and Dr. Masannat. And I'd like to take this opportunity to thank UNDP and the IDF for supporting Jordan in developing agricultural insurance in Jordan. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you very much.
شكرا للسيدة رنا طهبوب والسيد لورنس نجوري. أدعو الدكتور مؤيد كلوب مدير الاتحاد الأردني للتأمين لتكريم السيدة رنا ومستر لورنس. شكرا دكتور مؤيد.